So welcome back to another season of My Blue Heaven. It is season number 3 in this journey for myself and also you, the subscribers out there, my viewers. Really appreciate your support throughout this journey. Really exciting journey. It seems to be just starting to build a little bit of momentum. There's always this sense of anticipation and excitement and positivity coming out of the football club at this time of the year, and also I suppose a sense of nervousness and anxiety from our point of view that can we actually live up to some of that expectations. We certainly didn't do it last year. I thought we fell well short in the end. Ended up being a pretty disappointing season. Let's see how it pans out. It's been a long time between drinks for myself. I think it was December the 7th I looked before. Was the last video I made. Usually this time of year I really enjoy getting along to training as many sessions as I can, or as many sessions as the club allows supporters to go to, but that hasn't been the case this pre-season. The club, understandably so, very guarded and cautious due to COVID about who they let through the front gates of Princes Park. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Obviously, in lockdown here in Victoria, it's probably just going to get worse. We're just hopeful if we can actually get along as spectators to a game this year. Let's not worry too much about who can get through the front gates of Princes Park to attend training. Can we get to the MCG? Can we get to Marvel Stadium to finally watch our team in action? We did not do it once last year, which was really disappointing. I'm actually here, though, to talk about Patrick Cripps, the co-captain of our football club, and arguably still our best player. That could be, debated. There's a number of players now on our list who could be considered probably our most important player. Is it Cripper? That doesn't really matter who is the most important player. It's the way each individual gels within the team. I think from now moving forward, it's about how this team works together. That's the only way we're going to achieve any type of success, is whether this team can finally start to gel together. I think that's been a huge concern even under David Teague. We fell well short last year, could not live up to the expectations. Huge opportunity to play finals football last year. And we just weren't good enough from a team point of view. We picked up a lot of recruits, but the proof is in the pudding. Can we gel together as a team? Has David T got the ammunition to be able to do that from a coaching point of view? But Cripper, I must preface this by saying this is by no means a knock on Cripper or who am I to criticise such a great player? But we all have opinions. This is about me trying to get into the mind of Patrick Cripps. It's all perception from my part. I've got no inside word. I don't talk to anyone. It's just what I observe, what I read, about the individuals at our football club. And Cripper's going to be a huge talking point until he signs on the dotted line. Until he does, there's going to be a lot of speculation. I don't want to speculate about where he's going to be at next year. That will play itself out. I'm actually pretty confident he will be at Carlton next year. I just think we take him on his face value at the moment. He seems to be a very honest individual. But at the same time, if he's going to stay, which we hope he does, this video is more about what we can expect from him this year. Why possibly, it's been well documented, why he fell away, I wouldn't say drastically last year, but he certainly had a down year. And he'll probably still feature, in the top 6 or so of the best and fairest, which is yet to be counted. That's another bizarre thing that's happening at our football club. But he was well down on form. He really was. And I want to talk a little bit about that as well, the balance between being, a prime mover and also being a leader, and that balance that needs to be made. I think we all fell in love with him as soon as he walked through the door at Princes Park. We picked number 13 in that 2013 draft. He was a bargain, bit speculative. A lot of clubs passed up on him because of his pace and his size, carrying a little bit of fat. Didn't think he would be able to, I suppose, adapt to the modern game. He certainly proved the competition wrong. A little bit of a slow start, broke his leg in his first season, came back in season number 2 in 2015, Mick Malthouse's last year, and absolutely dominated. Probably the best, I'll go as far as to say, is the best season I've seen from a young player at the Carlton Football Club, and I've been watching this club for a long time now. And I know Sam Walsh had an outstanding first season and then was outstanding again last year. But this was something else by Cripps in 2015. He should have won, obviously, the Rising Star. Jesse Hogan got the nod with that. But he was huge. He carried the football club in one of its darkest years under Mick Malthouse. I've never seen anything like it. His ability at the stoppage, his creativity with his hands. He was inspirational for someone so young. And I was very fortunate enough, and I've seen premierships, and I've seen the glory years of Carlton. But watching Patrick Cripps live, this was live, play game number 6 in 2015. After he'd broken his leg, he came back in 2015, played the 2 opening games of the season. Then we travelled over to Wellington, to the Cape Tongue, as they call it, the Cape Tongue there, Westpac Stadium, for the Anzac Day clash. If you can remember that, we played the Saints. We had a great win. It was our only win under Mick Malthouse that year before he got sacked halfway through the year. But it was the day that Paddy, I think he was 20 years of age at that stage, that was the breakout game. He was unbelievable. I remember sitting in the stands, and I was lucky enough to get into the rooms. I was doing some work, some media work. I was lucky enough to get into the rooms after the game. I was the only Victorian media person there. And when the media management came up to me, he said, you can basically talk to anyone you want. Now, I thought because Mark Murphy had won the Anzac Day medal, I think they were assuming I'd asked for Murph, but I immediately asked for Cripps. I just knew 33 possessions, he had 11 tackles. 23 of those 33 were contested. We're talking about a 19, 20-year-old. He was unbelievable that day. We saw something really special. And he's carried this team. For the most part, he has carried it, emotionally, physically, from a supporter's point of view, the amount of pressure that's been on him, a beacon of light through such a dark period. It's a credit to him. It really is a credit to him. Just looking back to that game over there against St Kilda, it's only, 5 or so, six years ago now. The amount of change that this club from a obviously a coaching point of view, off field as well, but from a position on field, these are the names that played in that game with Cripps, his breakout game. Cam Wood, Lockie Anderson, Zach Tui, Andres Everett, Tom Bell, Andrew Walker, Andrew Carazzo, Bryce Gibbs, Dennis Armfield, David Allard, Blaine Boakhurst, Dylan Buckley, Sam Rowe, the list goes on, Michael Jamison, and one of the biggest names in the history of the football club in Matthew Dick also played in that game. So we only had Doc, Levi, Murph, who won the Anzac Day medal that day, Ed, and obviously Simo retired last year. So he's been a constant. He's played the 118 games. So the first point I want to make, and where this might lead to, is the weight of being at a club which is, I suppose, been down the bottom for a long time. He's played, as I said, he's played 118 games, Cripps. And in that time, he's only sung the Carlton song. This is a powerful football club, a club with a huge history, and we've been through the tough times. But he comes to a club with a huge history, one of the big clubs here in Victoria. He's played 118 games, and he's sung the fucking song only 31 times in his career thus far. He's sung the song 31 times. It's quite extraordinary. To So that's 26%. 26%, okay, is a winning percentage for Patrick Cripps in his time at the Carlton Football Club. Surely that is weighing on him. It has to weigh on you when you lose that much. And I know that trend is slowly going up, okay, over the last 18 months or so. It's starting to go up at 26%, and he sung the song. He's wrapped his arms around his teammates, okay, only 31 times and sung that song. It's for someone who's won 2 All-Australians, 3 Best and Fairest John Nichols medals. He's been captain. He's won a Lee Matthews medal, and he's only 26% winning percentage. Sung the song 31 times. Enjoyed himself after a game with his teammates. Got on the piss or whatever that may look like. Enjoyed. Okay, savoured wins. That weighs anyone down. That weighs anyone's down. If you're thinking about a decision he has to make, where he wants his future to be, just have a look at someone taken in the same draft. And I'm sure Dom Sheed would be actually a mate of Patrick Cripps, being from Western Australia. I think he was taken the pick before Cripper, or a couple of picks, maybe pick 11 by the Eagles. Now, Dom Sheed has got a 65%. 65% times they've won. Okay, Dom Sheed for the West Coast Eagles, and obviously got a premiership. 65%. Same draft, Josh Kelly, another superstar, 56%. Matt Crouch at the Adelaide Crows, 55%. Okay, then you look at someone like a Zach Merritt, who's been at a struggling club in that time in Essendon, but still 43%. Same with Jack Billings, struggling club at St Kilda. He's running at over 40%. So you look at there over at Cripper, it's like 26%. There's not another player in the competition who's been played over 100 games who has an extraordinarily low winning percentage. Is extraordinary. Then you look at his peers. Okay, I'm talking about his peers. Are the ones I see that Cripper wants to be a big dog. Okay, everyone's got an ego. I'll get to that in a minute. But he's the big guy. He wants to be the main man. And I reckon Cripper would look at the other superstars of the competition. And when you talk of the superstars of the competition, I think Cripper's just a rung under him at the moment. He's yet to really take his game to that next level. But you look at Dusty, 51%. Okay. Nathan Fyfe, 67%. Patrick Dangerfield, 52%. Joel Selwood, 81%. Okay? And then you look at the draft after, the 2014 draft after Patrick Cripps. Okay? And you look at the stars of that. Christian Petrarca at Melbourne, 48%. Jordan Ngoe, 54%. Darcy Moore, 46%. Isaac Heaney, 61%. And even Harris Andrews, who's been at the Brisbane Lions, has got a better percentage at 34%. Okay? And finally, while I'm talking about this winning percentage and how it must weigh him down, because everyone wants to win, that's what we're in the Cape for, winning. Okay, even Tom Lynch, who left the Gold Coast Suns, who had no history, absolute basket case in regards to culture. He even had a better winning percentage at the Gold Coast Suns, 28% in 2017 when he went to the Tigers, okay, than Patrick Cripps. So I think part of the problem with Cripper has been this pressure to take his game to the next level, and really drive this club going forward. And I think the pressure really did start to weigh on him last year, and that all started in the pre-season or at the end of 2019. I think 2018 was a better year than his 2019 year, even though he really had those fantastic games where, the Brisbane game where he absolutely dominated. But there was a number of games under Bolton early where he really did show the signs of someone who was struggling to break a tag. Remember the game against North Melbourne. Remember the game against Essendon where I think one of the Clark boys got hold of him. And then the planning going into 2020, the much documented now, was that he wanted to lose some weight so that he could cover the ground more. Now let's get this out in the open now. I think there's a misbelief that this was a club decision, that the club are to blame for Cripps losing the weight and changing the way he wants to play. Now, the club can be blamed for a lot of things. The club can be blamed for not getting enough support on field to help Cripps out. Very, very slow to get a midfield in to help Cripps. But I don't think the club can be solely blamed for what transpired at the end of 2019 when Cripps, I reckon what happened was Cripps went to his exit meetings, met with David Teague, met with Andrew Russell, and wanted to lose weight to improve his outside game. As simple as that. Wanted to take his game to a new level, to be one of the true elite players in the competition, right up there with the Dusty Martins and Nathan Fifes, right up there with the Patrick Dangerfield, one of the true superstars of the competition. And why wouldn't he be? Okay, and this is where your ego comes into it. All right, this is where your ego comes into it. Everyone, regardless. I think ego can be a dirty word. Because you think of ego and you think of someone who has a high opinion of himself, then that's not the case. Everyone wants to be the best they can be. But Cripps went to the club and said, this is what I want to do. I want to improve my outside game. I want to be able to break away from stoppages. I want to be able to, be a power and a defensive weapon, go forward and kick goals. And it didn't work. And the recent interview, and poor old Andrew Russell has copped an absolute rocket from a lot of supporters and taken most of the heat, as far as I'm concerned, about what happened with Cripps. This has been Cripps' decision. Now, I actually take my hat off for Russell to actually get him in the condition, because no one was whinging about Patrick Cripps and what he looked like at the start of last season. Everyone was saying how wonderful he did look, and he did look wonderful. His physique looked absolutely fantastic. Now, this is what Cripps said in the recent interview. This is his decision. I tried something different last year, and it didn't go to plan. It says, I tried something different. It didn't say we tried something different. Cripps said, I tried something different last year and it didn't go to plan. So I'm going back to my old ways. Okay, then he goes again. You always try something different to improve your game. Tried a different theory, didn't quite go to plan. Okay, he wanted to cover the ground more, improve his running capacity. Okay, but he's now conceded that his one wood. Okay, his one wood is his inside game, and that's where he's going to be his most effective for the Carlton Football Club. So, leadership v ego. Okay, and this is where the balance. Okay, this is where you got to be careful with the balance when you're a leader of the football club. And the facts of the matter are, he is the captain. Okay. And when you're a captain so young, so he's been a captain, 23, 24 years of age, and it's very, very young to be a captain when you're still developing your game, still developing it, still wanting to improve. Now, that's not to say that once you're captain, you stop wanting to improve. But sometimes you can get away what's best for the team, if you think about yourself more than what you should be as if you're captain. Now, a perfect example of that, and this is why I respect Trent Cotchin so much. Now, Trent Cotchin's not universally adored like Patrick Cripps is, but who gives a flying fuck? Trent Cotchin's probably the most selfless, with the Joel Selwood as well, one of the most selfless leaders you'd ever want, okay? You'd ever want to see. Again, it's not about the fact that Richmond have won, three out of the last 4 premierships. But Trent Cotchin changed the way he played. He knew he had to change the way he's played to benefit the team because he was now the captain of the football club. So gone was the cheap kicks behind the play, racking up possession after possession behind the ball. Okay, he became pretty much an enforcer. I remember a game last year, Trent Cotchin against the Cats, not the grand final, but a home and away game. The Tigers, I think it was at Metricon Stadium. The Tigers got off to a flyer. They were well up at three-quarter time. The Cats came hard. Late in the game, and it was Trent Cotchin who stood up. He pushed himself behind the ball. Some of his courage, the way he stood up, he sacrifices his own performance for the benefit of his football team. And I think this has hopefully been a learning curve for Patrick Cripps, and this is what happens when you're such a young leader. Okay, you just want to be the big dog. You still want to be the, improve your outside game. But I think what this is showing that the outside game and breaking away from stoppages and, being a flashy type like a Dustin Martin is not what Patrick Cripps is about. He is purely an inside player, and he says his one wood is his inside game, but to me, his one wood is his creativity by hand and how he brings others into the game. And that's what he did in his first year in 2015. His unbelievable ability to, one, get his hands on the ball, but then his ability to then feed the ball off to someone in a better position than him. I reckon he's, over the last, say, 18 months or so, he's got away from that. I watched a little bit of footage of him and some match sim. I hope he gets it out of his game, but he's playing his best football when he takes the first option. This feigning handballs and dummy handballs, then trying to break into space and then getting himself either into trouble on his right foot or even trouble on his left foot is something that really, regardless of whether he lost any strength last year, but he got himself into trouble so many times last year, and we know he's not a great user of the football by foot. So that is something I hope he fixes up in 2021. So I think it was a bit about trying to get a little bit of, not personal glory. I think Cripper would love to win a Brownlow medal. I think he'd love to win just about every best and fairest. I think he'd love to be the top dog in the competition. And why wouldn't he be? But I think when you're captain of the football club, you've got to realise you've got to play within your capabilities and what is going to benefit this football club, and that's his inside game. And hopefully we've got that balance right. Finally, okay, what legacy does Patrick Cripps want to leave on our football club? Is going to be the big question for me over whatever, if he stays beyond this year, okay? Does he want to be known as, a five-time best and fairest winner, a six-time All-Australian, but only played a handful of finals and never won a grand final? Does he want to be remembered as the three-time best and fairest winner who left because couldn't get success at Carlton? The win-loss ratio just got too much for him, so he went to the West Coast Eagles, where he won a premiership there, for example, or played a lot more finals there and finished off his career. Does he want to be remembered like that, which is nothing wrong with that? Or does he want to really be remembered? Okay, and then once again, this comes down to personal glory. And what is personal glory? And personal glory is all about team success. Does he want to be remembered as the kid who came into this football club in its darkest time? Okay, under Mick Moldhouse, under a rebuild, under the biggest change on-field and off-field in the history of the football club, wooden spoon after wooden spoon, turmoil after turmoil, injury after injury, carrying the club on his shoulders, and then being elected captain and dragging this club out of the turmoil. Kept his three best and fairest, remained only a 2-3 time All-Australian, but ends up being a captain of a premiership side. Okay, I'll tell you what I would want, okay, and that'd be the latter, and I reckon Patrick Cripps would want the latter as well, okay, because that's what it's about. That's the legacy that he could leave for us, okay. He will go down as an absolute legend of the football club if he's able to do that. Either way, he's still going to be a great, okay, and success is not going to come. Sometimes success doesn't come, all right, because it's not easy to win premierships, okay, and you've seen that with a lot of champion footballers. But that's the decision he has to make. What legacy does he want to leave on us? What legacy does he want to leave on himself? I hope you've enjoyed this episode, first episode of My Blue Heaven for 2021. I'll be back over the next couple of weeks with some more videos. It's bye for now.